Limister.
Here.
Ferguson.
Here.
Foraker. Here. Castor.
Here.
Frank Killingsworth.
Here.
Kenny Killingsworth.
Here.
Layton.
Here.
Reese.
Here.
We have a quorum. Stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't have a mayor's report tonight. City administrator's report.
Provided a written report, just kind of give an update. We, like I said, at the end of, what was it, end of June, early July, the $15 million grant funding got deposited into our account, so I'm getting numbers from banks. We'll bring that over to park that in investment accounts here on next meeting. We'll have some info for that. We're waiting on one more. Let's see, we'll be looking at, what we need to do for that bonding in the next year. We don't really need anything pulled out for this fiscal, but we'll look at a short tranche in 26, kind of time that based upon how interest is going and what the feds are doing to get the best suit for us. Brad's looking at that for a slaughter, making sure we're staying in line with it. We got negotiations still underway for all three bargaining units. We've come along pretty long way with where we're at. Everything seems to be on track for those. Let's see. I do want to give a little shout out to Lindsay. We'll talk about chickens and stuff later, but I'm out at the Animal Pounds. We did receive our annual, or typically every year, every so often we get a no-kill shelter award. I want to thank the Humane Society and Lindsay and the team out there for doing all their efforts to get animals that aren't, I guess, adopted or claimed to a home without having to put it down. So, we are noted in the job openings that we have. I do want to note I put in the report we had line foreman open. That one is not open. So we just still advertising for water distribution lineman, electric distribution lineman, and a police officer. So other than that, I kind of gave an update on all the projects. Got a lot going on. Got 16 projects operating right now between conception stage to some getting to substantial completion pretty quick. So that's all I got. If anybody has any questions.
Chief?
Just a reminder, National Night Out tomorrow. We're hosting it at the Aquatic Center, 5 to 8.
Thank you. Monthly report from Southeast Nebraska Land Bank.
The minutes from their last meeting was provided. No action required for that.
Routine business, discussion and action, agenda approval.
Motion to approve. Second.
All vote.
Eight yeas.
2, discussion and action, minutes approval for July 21st, 2025.
Motion approved.
Second.
All vote.
8 yeas.
3, discussion and action, claims approval for August 5th, 2025.
Report was provided for that.
Anthony, I had just a couple of them here. It's page 1. Now, you might know off the top of your head. It's come out of general funds, but it's called Pilot Electric. 39,000 on one, and then we had some other small ones.
So where are you at?
So I made a copy of just first pages on page 1. The expenses. I think it says page 1.
What's the fund number?
Yeah. Okay.
No, it should be an electric. It should be.
It's under electric.
You're on
600.
group.
So I can tell you what it is without looking it up.
Yeah.
Essentially, that is our pilot payment, our payment in lieu of tax. So that's our 7% revenue off the top from our utilities, in that case, electric and gas. Pay that back to our general fund for operations.
Okay.
That's a monthly that goes in.
So yeah, that comes on. I think I've seen a bunch of other ones that kind of got me. Little ones like 7,000. That's the other one too. So yeah, it's under gas. So probably same thing.
Same thing. Yeah, that's gas is 7% for that month.
That was. I think that's all I had there. I didn't have any clue what that was, that was labeled, so, yep, thank you. Oh, I got other contractor of service there, is that like, just say Johansson or Richards or anybody who, it's all very, it just says other contractor of service, 2988.
You on last,
It says
what's the bottom right page number?
22, I'll tell you what number it is, it's 800-07-00-52-199.
Yeah, 800 number, that's actually for the airport.
Okay,
All the airport is included with all this, although you guys don't have to have approval on the airport.
airport should, thank you.
Motion to approve. Second.
All vote.
8 yeas?
Old business, discussion and action. Engineering firm interviews with the Energy Forward Transmission Improvement Project as recommended by the Board of Public Works.
Alright, so each of the shortlist firms are here, HDR, Power Engineers, and Olson. We asked them to put on a little presentation, going over qualifications, personnel, their project approach, and their experience with the projects and SPP procedures. We did provide the groups all kind of some basic questions, but council, after their meeting, will kind of open them to questions, try to keep the full thing under 15-20 minutes for each, so it doesn't stay here all night for us. But most of those we provided beforehand, so they could hopefully answer some of those questions during the presentation. The shortlist selection scoring matrix was provided, just so you guys have an idea what that is. And we're just gonna have the mayor kind of draw at random, who gets to be the lucky first one. So, we got him up here. Our lucky first will be Olson. Come on up. Introduce yourselves and we'll get your presentation pulled up.
Well, thank you guys for the invitation. It's good to be back in this neck of the woods. I've been coming down here since 2000. My first gig was actually at Cooper Nuclear Station. Got a college buddy of mine lived down here, so we had some good memories. It was glad to be driving back down here and checking the place out again. But I'm Scott Kaler.
I'm Victoria Murray.
Blake Chestnut.
I'm Joe Johnson.
So a little bit about myself. So I'm a technical expert with Olson. I've only been with Olson for a year and a half. My background is actually with utilities. So I started with MPPD years ago. Originally, I'm from small town northeast Nebraska, Pierce, so it's about half the size of Falls City. But I know very well about the growth mindset. There's a lot of commonality there, so I'm very happy to be here. So I was with MPPD for several years. Ended up transitioning to Lincoln Electric System in Lincoln, Nebraska for 14 years. I managed larger projects and eventually was on a couple of working groups within the Southwest Power Pool. I was on 3 task forces and 1 working group for resource accreditation. Also did regulatory compliance for Lincoln Electric System. I can go ahead and transition to the next slide. So I don't know if there's anything more to add, but that's who we are. So I'm out of the Lincoln office.
I'm out of the Joplin office.
I'm out of the Omaha office and 15 years of substation experience.
I live in Kearney, but work in the Omaha and Lincoln office. Former city administrator here in the state of Nebraska for about 15 years, and been with Olson for about 10 years.
So our understanding of the project is, I guess, twofold. One is to strengthen the current infrastructure that you have for the facility. So provide new capacity for all the growth that you guys have in mind. In addition to that, I know from my public power familiarity, I know there's only 1 transmission line coming into the city. So I believe that the intent is to bring in a secondary source from another direction and diversify you guys' connection to the bulk electric power system. And get a little bit more visibility within the Southwest Power Pool. I think that the proposed connection to the Hiawatha Station in northeast Kansas makes very good sense. Beyond what's spelled out in the request for qualifications that we saw, Olson has some experience with other projects that are going to be coming up in the industrial park complex, and besides just the electrical connection within the Southwest Power Pool, I think there'll be some value to making sure that we also look at the integrated transmission plan that SPP has. That way they kind of look holistically, not just with this particular project, but everything else you might have in mind. There will be some advantages to keeping that in mind as you proceed. So that's our understanding of the project. Our experience within Olson is we've been doing work like this for municipalities for over 30 years. Mostly with distribution and substation design. We've been doing low voltage or up to high voltage. Recently, high voltage has been getting up to not just 115 and 161 kV, but even up to 345. Our approach for the project, as we put on the response, is broke it out into 4 phases. We wanted to take a phased approach instead of just a straight interconnection. We believe that we would recommend starting off with more of a strategic alignment, giving more information to SPP than just doing a NHTSA application. I think it should be looked at from a more holistic point of view, where an integrated transmission plan from SPP should probably be looked at with the industrial campus plans. After strategic alignment, we believe public outreach would be important. That would be our second phase. The third phase would be the engineering and the right-of-way acquisition. And finally, just the project execution, the design and the procurement. After the project approach, I'll let Joe speak on our stakeholder and grant coordination later on in the presentation, and Victoria will touch on our schedule. So within Olson, this is how we would organize our work structure. We break the project into 2 primary groups. So the top half is the transmission line engineering. That'll be led by Victoria Murray. And working alongside her would be Jacob Bradley out of the Joplin office. Jacob and Victoria have quite a bit of familiarity, not just with the transmission in the area, but also with Evergy and OBBD systems. The other aspect of the project, we'd be using our substation team led by Blaine Chestnut. Blaine has several years of experience out of the Omaha office doing substation design. I believe some familiarity with you guys' existing setup. He'll be working alongside with Eric Eidhusen, and both Jacob and Eric, they'll be doing more of a quality control type of a review in this particular setup. So then their day-to-day design won't be involved with the project, but they'll be looking at it from more of a quality control perspective. At the bottom, we have a list of all of Olson's additional in-house services. So I believe this might be one area that makes Olson distinguished from from our peers. I wanted to highlight that we have kind of a full suite or a one-stop shop for a lot of additional services. In particular, Olson has an in-house geotechnical team. We have the survey, the environmental permitting groups, and the right-of-way acquisition. All are nearby. Just about everybody that you have shown here are I would consider local. They're within 2-hour driving radius from Falls City, whether that's in Lincoln, Omaha, or Kansas City. Okay. We have a whole resume of projects to show, but we narrowed it down to the projects that we feel would be the most applicable or related to this project. So a lot of your peer utilities or municipalities in this region include a lot of municipalities in the state. So Holdridge, there's a project in Auburn. This includes not just substation, but also transmission line projects at the high voltage level, so 115 kV or 161 kV. We're also familiar with a lot of the transmission line work that the transmission providers in the area have in place. That includes NPPD, OPPD, and even Evergy. We didn't list Evergy on the slide because it's not technically not a public utility. So I'll probably, with the line side, I might transition over to Blaine to talk a little bit more about our substation side.
Yeah, so besides those public clients, Olson has been working with Falls City pretty extensively over the last 20 years with 40 projects. I've been involved in the Power Distribution Center project as part of the distribution upgrade you guys are doing downtown to bring the voltage conversion up to 13.8 kV and put everything underground, clean up that area. Olson also did the site due diligence project for the Falls City Edge Industrial Park. On the substation side, we have experience up to 345 kV substations on both greenfield and brownfield expansions or upgrades, doing everything from transformer and breaker replacements, relay panel, relay upgrades.
So on the line side, we've performed both distribution and transmission all the way up through 345 kV. Some of our most recent projects have been 69 kV insulated to 115 kV on steel poles. They also had distribution underbuild on them. Because of that, our transmission team is well versed in both distribution and transmission, and that allows our team to be more efficient with fewer people involved in the design. Recently, we did a project for the city of Holdrege, Nebraska, and we designed it for them. We helped them apply for grant money, and then we bid the project out, and now we're waiting for the construction to start. So we'll be supporting them with construction services. So, next slide. So our project approach starts with defining the project and scoping services that we offer. It's key to make sure that the project's well defined, so you guys are paying for what you need and nothing extra. We also help find alternative routes or other cost-saving measures for you. Another part of the project approach is to have proactive communication with everybody involved. We have local people to help with the right-of-way acquisition, be at public meetings, and just answer general questions about the project. So we have all of these services that we have in-house, and that helps with the project efficiency, with not having handoffs, not having any go-betweens, and there's no way to lose your data because it's all in one place, and it just makes us more efficient. Next slide. So with permitting and right-of-way, we have both these services in-house. We have local people who perform those. This particular project is going to be in 2 different states. It's going to be crossing railroads, crossing rivers, crossing tribal lands, all sorts of things going on. So there's going to be a lot of permitting and right-of-way involvement. We have a team member who used to work for a major railroad company, and she has a lot of expertise that helps us navigate the permitting process. We also have a person on our team that was a tribal liaison for FEMA, and he's worked with the Kickapoo tribe, and so he knows how to smooth that over to make sure that we aren't having any hurdles that are going to slow down the project. Next. So a project of this size can take 2 to 3 years to get to construction. We do have the ability to expedite that if necessary, but a lot of things that are going to contribute to the timeline are going to be your right-of-way, your permitting, and then just coordination between all the different agencies involved. So we'll have a project manager who will track everything and make sure that we're going at the right speed, and we can adjust as necessary and adapt the schedule as needed. Next slide.
Okay, agency coordination. So technically, I think this project should be pretty straightforward. However, where I think the hidden risk might be with this project might be all the interagency coordination with all the different players involved. So with proposed routing, we're dealing with 2 state lines, potentially an Indian reservation, and getting those approvals individually is not going to be that difficult to do, but trying to do all that in unison and get all the timelines in sync is going to be a challenge. Also, I mentioned SPP earlier, that an interconnection of just doing a NITS interconnection might not be sufficient if you guys have longer term plans for a potential industrial complex south of town. I believe that SPP needs to be a little bit more involved, and not just in the planning and the design, but also with the funding that might be available. If you guys went ahead with a NITS application and the design on your own, there's a really good chance that the city would be tasked with funding the entire project all on their own. Whereas if we did more of a aggregate study with the Southwest Power Pool and the integrated transmission plan. They might realize that there's some ancillary services that are available, if there's some potential to cogen possibilities coming up with another project. So I think that, some of that stakeholder coordination, that's why as one of our first phases is to take a step back and do like a holistic approach to make sure that we have, all those questions on the table before you proceed with any interconnection applications. Of course, the coordination going on with the local utilities, so Evergy and OPPD, which we have ongoing with other projects going on right now. Next slide.
So I really want to focus on what differentiates Olson from everybody else. So first is community engagement. So we're going to be here, we're going to be present. With a local presence, we're committed to sharing updates through online platforms. So we'll build you a website if we need a website. We'll have social media posts that we can help with, in-person conversations, wherever that may be. We've built trusted relationships with the agency and partners that Scott just showed. And we want to build those same partnerships with the community and all our partners moving forward on this project. Second is grant management. So since 2023, Olson has acquired or obtained $153 million for Nebraska communities alone. So in the last 3 years, $153 million. We're ready to help Falls City do whatever it takes to get additional funding resources into this project. We mentioned SPP, there's user fees with the new line, so some wielding, some transmission fees, plus EDA disaster, plus EDA employment grants. We can go after those for this project as well. Finally, government relations. As a registered lobbyist in the state of Nebraska, I'm actively engaged in the state capitol every legislative session. And I watched in 2022 when you all moved this bill through, 977 through the legislature, and actually actively supported that piece of legislation through NEDA, which is a Nebraska Economic Developers Association. And to further that, I did meet with your Senator Bob Hallstrom on Friday for lunch, and we had a great conversation. If you notice the timeline, that's right about the end of Senator Hallstrom's last session of his first year or first term in the legislature. It's really important that we celebrate successes with DED, the legislature, and everybody along the way, and we'll do that for you. We'll coordinate those things for you. We're excited about this project for Falls City. Next slide. So, Mayor, City Council members, public, city employees, on behalf of myself and the Olson team, we're truly honored to be considered for this critical project. And I want to stress the critical nature of this project. By this being a city-owned transmission line, it puts the power back into Falls City's hands. So when you're driving around town, you see all those Generac. You guys know what I'm talking about. I've never seen a community with more Generacs in the backyard than I do in Falls City. We're going to solve that problem with this project. We understand the importance of it, both the transmission and substation. It's not just infrastructure, it's a vital electric lifeline that we're working with. What makes this especially meaningful for us is a chance to bring both our local roots, in-house expertise, all the experiences in-house. We're not going to a third party, a second party, everything's in-house. We're not just excited about the project, we're excited about the people that we work with here in Falls City. And we want to build something lasting for Falls City. We're ready to get started tomorrow. You tell us to go, we're going tomorrow. And because we didn't want to leave any stone unturned, all the questions that were asked, that's the answers to them, because 15 minutes is not enough time to answer all those. So thank you for your time. We would love to entertain questions. Appreciate everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys have any other questions for him, Olson?
Are the grants, is there quite a bit out there to have a good chance of getting some type of grant?
Yeah, so immediately the EDA grants come to mind. So there was a disaster event here in Falls City. so you qualify under that, but you also qualify, so when Sutronics ready to pull the trigger here, that triggers some employment EDA grant abilities. So we'll work with Lucas and others to secure those funding. But we also have a grants team internally, there's 7 of them, that will go to work immediately looking at anything and everything to fund this project. So there's little bits and pieces that can be funded from a different source. Yep. So we'll put those resources to play.
It's interesting you say that one, that we had a little kickoff meeting last week with EDA.
Very good. Yeah. You guys are running ahead a little bit. Let's go.
Now, on right away, if you have somebody that won't grant right away, do you have to restart over, or do you just jog around somebody's property, or, I mean, cause that could be costly if somebody won't grant it.
It could be costly in time and money, so slowing down the project. So, there's a lot of ways to handle that. We can avoid it, we can go around it, we can work with them. And there's other legal ways, I don't wanna bring up in the domain, but there's ways that we could do that too. But that's time and money. If we go down that route, it's easier just to go around or work with them and try to negotiate that in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah, it's depending on what it is. I mean, if it's a portion that could go underground for a little bit or whatever it is, then that'd probably be the route that we would look at. So,
Thank you.
I did catch one thing, you, very end, you said you'd hopefully sold the infrastructure in town with all these Generacs and that.
yeah,
This is just transmission combined, this is nothing with infrastructure.
correct. Yep.
Okay, I
Yep.
just wanted to clarify that.
But knowing the community, there's more outages in Falls City than a normal community.
Sure.
And that's why everybody has those generators. Yep. I can tell you, when you drive around other communities, you don't see a lot
You
of
don't see-
generators.
that's right.
Yeah, and you do here. So that's what will solve that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else? Alright, thank
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Pull up HDR number 2.
Alright, council members, thank you for having me. My name is Dan Black. I work for HDR, I sit in Omaha, and I manage our power group in Nebraska, Iowa. So I'm glad to be here, and Tony, there's a lot of slides on here, so we're gonna
Just tell me when to move.
okay, so let's talk about this transmission line substation project. You can keep going. Just a little bit about HDR. HDR has been around since 1917, founded in Omaha. Our first project actually was a power line, so we've been designing transmission or power lines in Nebraska for 108 years. Currently, we're about 14,000 employees across the globe, and 1,000 of those plus work in what we call our power market sector, and a good portion of that's in the T&D space. So, 225 locations worldwide. That's mostly in cities here in the U.S., but we also have offices in Australia and other places. So, just some corporate language here. We've got some ENR rankings, number 10 in the T&D space nationally, number 6 in design. So HDR not only does power, but we design infrastructure projects like roads, bridges, water, wastewater, drinking water, and all those folks throughout the globe. And Omaha, being the headquarters, has quite a bit of that. So a lot of different types of business we get involved in. Go ahead. You can see there are offices across the country. Again, this doesn't have all of our power offices, but we do a lot of work here in the Midwest as well as the West. And then we've got about 12 to 15 power folks here in HDR in Omaha that work with me in our group here. So go ahead, Tony. And then safety, we have quite a focus on safety. Fairly good safety ratings, but really we focus on it for every project. So just wanted to throw that out here. So Okay, so our team for this effort, and these folks are all located in Omaha except for John. So Dan Black, I've been working on power projects since I started at HDR in 2008. I started in our Billings, Montana office. I moved to Nebraska about 15 years ago, and I've managed transmission and substation projects from distribution 13.8 levels all the way up to 500 kV. A lot of those in Nebraska and Iowa as well as Kansas. Jim Pavlik, he manages our industrial section. He's a environmental scientist, leads a lot of our permitting projects. Jimmy Algren, he works under me. He's a transmission engineer and does all our civil designs. Ben Kenny manages our resources business group. And then Shelby's typically my associate PM on a lot of these projects, and he manages our right-of-way team. We'll be knocking on doors, sitting down at kitchen tables. John Schneider sits in Bismarck, actually, North Dakota. He's our substation project manager. Bree manages our strategic communications team, so she would do things like public involvement meetings, social media, all that outreach that would go along with something like this. Kelly Farrell, our environmental PM, does a lot of environmental permitting projects for transmission and distribution. Ryan Well, running our GIS, we'd have a lot of mapping to do. And then Dana, construction manager. When the time comes to build this thing, he'd be out in the field helping coordinate and observe construction activities. So, any questions on the team? Those folks all sit in Omaha, available to help whenever we're ready to get going. Let's talk a little bit about how we manage projects. So, kind of a vague slide, but you've already heard. I mean, the plan would be to work through the funding, the agreements that you would have with the SPP, plan that out. When you get to the execution phase, you would engage, HDR or your design team and start working through the project. And then as a PM, we would control costs, control schedule throughout. So, and then close, obviously, a very important part to get through the project. So, kind of a slide. Talk about communication tools. We would put together a project management plan, work through the project with you in the planning stage, kickoff and progress meetings, scope and budget tracking, progress reporting, and schedule. So you can keep going, Tony. I kind of want to get to some of the projects that we're going. So that's a good one. So I did want to talk through risks. So risks on a transmission project these days really focus on procurement lead times with materials. It's hard to get, there's a lot of stuff going on. So transformers, breaker, switchgear, poles, conductor, all that stuff can lead to schedule problems throughout the life of this project. So that's one thing you want to get in front of. On the permitting side, regulatory approval, of course, but you're dealing with potentially tribal lands. You have landowner negotiations, I've already mentioned on the right-of-way side, and then environmental permitting, very important. So, resource availability, again, this is a very busy business, very busy industry. So you want to make sure we've got that planned out very well. And then I already mentioned, I'll skip down to the bottom, public opposition. Whenever you're doing a greenfield transmission line, you have a lot of folks that may not be interested in the transmission in their backyard. So spend a lot of time, a lot of meetings going through those kind of concerns with folks and dealing with that. So just a few slides here on HDR's experience. So HDR was involved with the Midwest Transmission Project for OPPD. This was a line that went from Nebraska City down to the Missouri border. You can kind of see it when you drive south from Nebraska City to Falls City. That was done in conjunction with what used to be, KCP&L, but now is Evergy, and met at the border as a 200-mile long line. HDR did the 40-mile section from Nebraska City to this southeast corner of Nebraska, and that went through Richardson County. It also included two 69 kV lines for Auburn. So that was a good project. Monolith substation. So that's kind of in the Howland Beatrice area. HDR is finishing up construction on that. We are hopefully gonna be done pretty soon. Essentially a new 345 kV substation and then supporting lines that go into Sheldon Station for NPPD. Can't remember how many miles, but it's like 10 different transmission lines that all connect at various points. So another good project. Another NPPD project. These are 115 transmission lines. These are very similar to what you're looking at. These are about 10 to 20 mile transmission lines that go through some semi-urban areas as well as rural areas. Greenfield lines. We did routing and siting for all three of these projects, as well as the right-of-way, design, construction management. So those will be the Kearney and Scottsbluff ones were just energized about a month ago. Norfolk is in construction right now. So 3 different transmission lines that we're doing for NPPD. Go ahead, next. And then Power with Purpose. So if you've spent any time in southwest Omaha, all the data centers around there, this project was in essence to connect up all that new load from the data center. So this was, I think it was 13 line segments, 345 and 161. Whole bunch of steel poles. If you drive around there now, there's a lot of transmission out there, but again, routing and siting, public involvement, right of way, design, construction management, project management. And then the LRTP Tranche 1, I don't know if you're not in the MISO envelope, you might not realize how much money that MISO is spending across the river here, but we're actively working routing and siting for this project. It's about 150 miles, 3 different projects of 345. So just wanted to highlight this one. This one is a owner's engineer services type of project. So we'll engage with an EPC contractor on this project once we get to about a preliminary 30% design. We're currently working on routing these transmission lines and putting together the permitting plan. So a couple substation projects, Plum Creek Wind. This is up towards Hoskins. This is a NPPD interconnect sub for wind farms. So essentially a switch yard. It's basically to catch all the wind interconnects from NPPD. It's a 345 substation, and that one was done a couple years ago. Fairly large substation. Turtle Creek and Standing Bear. So this is similar, or in a similar area as the Power with Purpose stuff around all those data centers. This is a substation and connecting transmission lines for OPPD's new gas-fired power plant, 400 megawatts down in southwest Omaha. So HDR was the owner's engineer for this, engaging with an EPC firm to build that substation. So all of those projects I personally managed those projects, and most of the team inside worked on all of those. So very active in the area, very active in Nebraska with T&D, and then I've done projects also in Kansas working with Sunflower Electric and Westar back in the day. I guess it's Evergy now, but yeah. So talk a little bit about, I guess, the Southwest Power Pool, but not just the Southwest Power Pool, also more like state regulators as well. But we've done numerous projects within the SPP over the last decade, last few decades actually. Worked with them very closely. We're actually part of Sunflower's first ever Fork Over 1000 project that was successful. So when those competitive transmission projects came through, we were involved in some of those. We've got staff that have sat on the state board for the Southwest Power Pool, as well as the Nebraska Power Review Board. So we fairly well versed in those processes. We've also done quite a bit of work in Nebraska for the interfacing with the Public Service Commission, Power Review Board. In Kansas, the Kansas Corporation Commission. And then we've got an advisory services team that works pretty heavily on grant writing and funding for We do some in power, but a lot in the transportation world, and highways and roads, they do a lot of grant writing, so we've got, numerous folks that do that kind of work, so. Any questions on any of this, by the way? I'm just rambling. Okay, I don't know that there's much left here, but we'll see. Strategic services, I already mentioned, we do quite a bit, within the umbrella, we call them, I guess, strategic services, but permitting, right-of-way, siting and routing, NEPA, public involvement are the biggest ones on this. Environmental monitoring during construction, if we have some sort of, requirement from a SWIP standpoint from the state, or if we have any core permitting requiring monitoring, we can do that. There's a lot of threatened and endangered species down here. You got bats and other things in southeast Nebraska, so. Go ahead. And then just a slide, talk a little bit about how we work through public opposition with these projects. We've done extensive work in Nebraska, and every community is different. Some communities may embrace this type of project. If there's power quality issues, they may be the best friends when it comes to building this. But you also may see communities that want nothing to do with it. So we've seen kind of every little bit of that gamut. Typically do that in phases. You'll have introduction of the project to the community, reach out, try and get feedback, see what people are worried about, see what people really want to see. And then we work through phases, showing here's what we're thinking for the route of the transmission line, here's where we think the substation is gonna go. And then answer questions, what's it gonna look like? How much noise is it gonna make, that kind of thing. Are my cattle safe, are my kids safe, that sort of thing. Those are big things to talk about, so. Okay. Again, that's similar, so go ahead. And then land rights, we've got a full service, right-of-way staff within HDR. So we'll do everything from, pulling title, getting appraisals. We would obviously be heavily involved in, negotiating easements or land purchases for a substation, something like that, as well as expert testimony, and if it comes time to use eminent domain, and then obviously working with other utilities in the area or highway crossings, DOT, that sort of stuff. So, so that's all part of HDR. And then environmental, we do a ton of work in the state, in the region, from an environmental standpoint. So whether that's natural resource protection like waters of the U.S., core permitting, air quality, which typically isn't too bad of an issue for T&D, erosion control, and then we already mentioned construction monitoring. So go ahead. I won't get too much into this, but we use a phase routing process where you identify your study area, identify what potential corridors you could use, potential routes, and then preferred routes. So that's all. Kind of rambling, but any questions?
I saw you said grant writing, but so do you actively look for those potential grants?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. We would get with you guys and kind of talk about funding, what your budgets are, what we're looking to try and do, and then we can search up those and negotiate and write grants and do that.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll need to draw this one. Yeah, all right, so this will be power engineers for our last but not least.
Alright, good deal. Well, first of all, let me say, we're absolutely thrilled to be here today. Appreciate the opportunity to come here and present. My name is Jared DeLee. I'm the project manager for this project. Here with me today, we have Kingsley Katan. He is our department manager for the transmission design group out of Kansas City. We have Eric Schultz, regional manager at Power Delivery Project Management. And then we have Jamie Newell, so senior project manager, environmental. So with that, next slide, please. Okay, so we know we're on time limit, so we'll get through this as quickly as possible. And really what we're trying to do here in this slide is talk about what sets us apart, right? Why power? And we really followed a couple different points, but for this presentation, we want to talk about sort of our proven experience, right? So we've been around for over 49 years. We have over 49 offices. Our power delivery staff alone, power engineers, is about 4,800 people. That is the largest power delivery staff in a single consulting firm in the United States, right? Since our inception, it's sort of in our name, we're all about power. So transmission, distribution, substation, even generation. We have put a graphic up here to sort of help illustrate that, right? And sort of our breadth and our footprint across the United States. Now, this doesn't show every project we've done. It is limited to some of our larger transmission projects, but that's just to give an example, sort of where we're at. So, since we've been around, we've developed good relationships with a lot of partners, publicly traded utilities, and even small municipalities. And we built quite an extensive portfolio of successfully delivered projects, transmission, distribution, and substation as well. Just within sort of the local region, we either have current ongoing projects or past successful completed projects with a lot of the neighboring utilities, NPPD, OPPD, Sunflower, Midwest, Evergy, etc. More just specific to Nebraska itself, in the past 10 years, we've successfully completed over 200 transmission, distribution, substation, and other types of projects. So we're well versed, we're well established in this area. And then finally, more specific to Falls City here, we did complete the feasibility study Q4 last year. It really helped set the stage for where we are today. So, sort of a roundabout topic here on a proven experience. And if you'd move to the next slide, please. Right. We also want to highlight sort of our functional organization. So while we prefer, to staff projects with local personnel, and in this case we have, right? Our leadership team is out of the Kansas City office. Our transmission design team under Kingsley, also out of the Overland Park office. But we have a large breadth of resources to pull from. Like I said, just within power, over 4,800 folks within the power industry, that's all we work on, right? Recently we were acquired by WSP. They're a very large engineering firm based out of Canada. They have an additional 75,000, I believe, people and resources that we can pull from as needed. So we have that ability to pull the right people from across the organization to match the project scope and to deliver the best possible outcome for our clients. So maybe to sort of tie all of this together, right, on why we think what sets us apart, and then why we're well situated for this work. So we have the experience, we have the national footprint and experience, we have the regional experience, we have the Pacific experience just for Falls City, we have a functional organization, and we have the track record to back it up. So with that, I'll hand it off to Kingsley here to get into the next slide.
Yeah, so here are some of our relevant projects that we've worked on. Obviously, as he mentioned, we did the feasibility study, and with that, we were able to learn a lot about Falls City and what the needs are. And so we were able to set our internal project teams up well for success. And one of the things that he didn't mention, that I will mention, is that about 80% of our projects that we work on are repeat projects. And so relationships are very important to us. I started in the industry working for Evergy for about 6 years and then came over to Power. And so we still have those relationships there. And a lot of the projects that we've worked on has been successful. And because of that, they've given us more projects to work on. An example would be our Evergy Beavertail project, where we are building 28 miles of greenfield. And so it would be similar to this project, although this one is 161 kV. We have also worked with MPPD on their 345 kV line, and then also done some substation expansion. So we really do have the experience within the region. And again, relationships very important to us. And so we make sure that we are communicating with our stakeholders and making sure that we understand what their issues are. And we are experts when it comes to the engineering side, but you guys are experts when it comes to the need side. You know what you need. So we're not gonna force anything down your throat. We're gonna listen, understand the situation, and then come up with a solution that'll best solve the problem that you have. Next slide, please.
So in terms of project management approach, we all function fairly similarly. You start a project, you set up your scope, schedule, and budget, you set up your execution plan. But when you boil it all down, what really drives a successful project is good, solid, consistent communication. You have to communicate within your team to make sure that you see, visualize, and manage any risks that come up, as they will throughout a project. And then obviously we have to communicate that to you, the client, as we go through the project. So we're making sure that we're meeting your expectations. We consistently communicate status so you know where we are. You can be confident that we're on schedule and on budget. And we make sure that we're meeting your expectations through every step of the way. We do this with every client that we've got. We've got probably the biggest project management team to go along with the power and energy experience on the engineering side. Many of our project managers have come from the engineering side, graduated into project management from engineering design. So not only are they solid project managers, but they've got the technical expertise to go along with it, which is really important. Next slide.
And so again, when it comes to the cost effectiveness of this, we did the feasibility studies. We know what kind of issues we're gonna come into. And again, the communication piece is very important. And so, you know, as far as communication, we'll have predetermined touch points with our stakeholders on the city side, making sure that they understand what we're doing. Again, we're not gonna push anything down your throat. If we come to a problem, we'll look at possible solutions to that problem, make recommendations as to what we think would be best suited for the situation, and then give you guys all the tools that you need to make the decision that is gonna be best for you. That is the approach that we've taken with all of our clients, and again, that's the reason why 80% of our work is repeat work, is we really take that time to listen to the problems of our clients and come up and educate and be true partners to you guys in all of this. So, and that, you know, starting from the material selection, so what type of construction do you wanna have? Is it gonna be steel or wood? We'll talk to you about what the pros and cons are for each of them. You know, because again, you guys are gonna be owning this, right? And so it's a long-term commitment. So we wanna make sure that we're equipping you with everything that you need to make the wisest choice for the city. Constructability, anything that is long-term management of the asset, we'll talk through all of that with you guys so that you guys know exactly what you're getting and how you can best set yourself up for success, not just in the short term, but also in the long term. Next slide.
So they spoke a lot about project management and communication. So one of the big things is gonna be your community and stakeholder engagement process. We've already looked at several alternatives. We have identified somewhat of a proposed alternative with you folks. Now we're gonna move into the stakeholder communication, where we will reevaluate those alternatives with the public and the stakeholders. But the first piece of that is really developing your plan with the public and stakeholders. In that plan, it's gonna include some roles and responsibilities of everybody on the team. It's gonna include some constraint analysis. What challenges may we face? It'll identify several of initial stakeholders that we know we'll need to speak with. It'll also develop a strategic approach to each of those stakeholders in your community. What's best for one may not be best for the second. So we really listen to you and we develop it with you, and then it's a living document as we proceed through the process. We'll modify that as appropriate. Within the public involvement plan, the first piece is execution of one-on-one briefings with your stakeholders generally what we wanna do is we want to, provide your stakeholders what is gonna be discussed and showed to your constituents. So you'll all have, an idea of what will be displayed at the public meeting, which is the next phase of working with your public. Those public open houses are generally ability for one-on-one communication with your landowners and your public. We've got our experts there to be able to provide information and educate them on what it is Falls City is trying to accomplish and the options that they have. And in that public involvement plan, we can talk about various phases of public outreach. You can have 1 meeting, 2 meetings, 3 meetings, whatever works best for your community and for the project. The outfacing communication tools is a tool in our toolbox. We can do websites, we've got visual simulations, we can do videography, we can do newsletters, fact sheets, news briefings, all of the above, to get that word out, because this is your community's asset. Next slide. And of course, as part of that as part of the public outreach meetings, one important piece of that is your right-of-way agents, to have at the meeting with you. They're gonna be that first line of speaking with your landowners. We wanna start it off on the right foot. Those right-of-way agents are definitely speaking with the whole team. They're working with the engineers, they're working with the environmental leads, as well as, of course, your landowners. We go about the right-of-way acquisition as a phased approach. We do our due diligence. We look at, when we speak with the landowners during those public open houses. We also go through title searches and communication with the stakeholders. We can take our right-of-way approach all the way through construction. So you've got that one point of contact with that landowner all the way through construction, so they know who to contact throughout the entire phase of your project. And of course, transparent, respectful communication, that's what we strive for, that's what we hang our hats on. That communication with your landlord should always be honest and upfront. And also, that's part of that purpose, is educating your stakeholders in a timely fashion. Can I go to the next one? We identified several risks after looking and completing that due diligence. You obviously have that route selection, landowner coordination, what I just mentioned, going through your public process. Obviously, the route selection, you've got your pipelines, you've got railroad crossings, you've got major highway crossings. You're going to have a lot of landowner and stakeholder engagement required for those permits, which can take a long time. You've got the material lead times. Kinsley's already mentioned a little bit about that. There's going to be a lot of permit and agency coordination through this project. We work in that in tandem as the start of the project all the way through the ending. So our environmental leads won't be surprised if there's a potential shift in the right-of-way or a shift in an access road. We'll have that communication internally to bring to the solution, as well as definitely some communication with the various stakeholders and agencies. And we all know agencies definitely take some time to get through. We work concurrently with our engineers and mitigate as much as possible. I'm gonna go to the next one. We do have folks on our team that do the grant writing. We've got several folks that actually came directly from the Department of Energy and assisted with that GRIP funding. They can work and understand the applicants for, as well as the recipients of any type of funds. So they work very heavily, that's all they kind of know is grant writing, and can help you through that process. They can advise or assist us however you feel appropriate.
So what we included here is sort of an org chart, and this may seem familiar. We did issue this with our key response, but really just a quick view of our team and then sort of the experience we have. As I mentioned before, and maybe coming back to sort of our functional organization, what this doesn't show is the support team behind all these folks, right? These are the folks that are responsible and accountable and will deliver in the particular areas for the project. But behind them, we have a multitude of folks and experience that we can draw from and that they can lean on as needed to successfully execute these projects as well. Next slide, please. Yeah. Also one of your questions, was sort of what is our anticipated project timeline. This was also submitted with the RFQ response and submitted with the feasibility study. But really, what we want to draw attention to is here. This is what we think is achievable for a project of this scale, right? And this is based on our past experience, the project we successfully completed, as well as current projects that are currently in progress, right? Sort of just give you a good view and a snapshot of how this type of project would lay out. Any questions on this so far before we move on?
I got a question.
Yeah.
The timeline, you have a pretty quick timeline. Is that achievable, the 2-year?
Yeah, 36, 38 months, we believe so, right? Your critical path items here are really gonna be related back to your substation, right? Your long lead items, transformers, breakers, switchgear, et cetera. And those are what we're seeing about 2 years out, sometimes a little bit more. So that's your critical path. Obviously, we wanna get started right off the bat with getting those equipment specs developed and getting those vendor packages out so that manufacturing can start on those pieces of equipment. So that's a critical path. In conjunction, we'd start with our public right-of-way stakeholder coordination, right-of-way easement, et cetera. And then it sort of flows out from there. The actual construction portion of this project is relatively small compared to the large span of the project here. So, but to answer your question, yes, we do feel that this is achievable within about this 3-year plus or minus time frame. Yep. So we also asked about sort of our proposed rate schedule. So we'll say from a rate schedule standpoint, as a good reference for y'all, we did provide one with our feasibility study, so that'd be something y'all could reference. Obviously, as this moves forward, that'll be transparent, that'll be submitted with our proposal, right? But that being said, we have flexible options, right? We work with a lot of clients, and we do different options. We do a lot of T&M not to exceed. So what that is time and materials. We have a cap on our budget, and you only get invoiced and billed for the hours that are expended. So, for instance, during the feasibility study, we established a not to exceed budget, and we actually came in under, right? Your guys are only billed for the hours expended on that work. So and that works out for a lot of our clients. For a lot of them, that's a preferred method. But we do understand that that's maybe not the way everybody does things. That may not be acceptable. So we have the flexibility to offer a more of a typical fixed cost lump sum type product for y'all if that's desirable. Of course, in the proposal period, we'll pre-establish milestones, et cetera. Once we hit those milestones, you'll be enforceable. So, based on whatever you guys would like, whatever's preferred, we're willing and flexible to provide that. Yep. And that's it. Appreciate it. Any questions?
Thank you. Do you, well, just so so apples to apples comparison, do you guys do any of the grant writing side with your company?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Do we have any other?
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, so we have this written down as a discussion action item. Council kind of do what they desire on that, so this isn't it's a heavily weighted decision. This is a big project, big timeline put together. But ultimately, it's council decision on what the selection is to move forward with how we drafted the resolution. Board of Public Works narrowed the initial 6 down to these 3. These 3 made those presentations. There should be the rate structures were provided to you guys. Essentially, how it happens now is a selection will be made. You'd enter negotiations to develop that scope of work that they kind of discussed. Figure that piece out. If you didn't come to an agreement within that first negotiation, you can move on to a second entity. If the council wanted to talk about it more, all of it would have to be done under public session, unless you go into a, develop a committee to make that decision. And that gets out of your Open Meetings Act, for all that. There's nothing of this would be covered under being able to go into a closed session, at all, so.
I guess I'd like to have a committee. I mean, this is a lot to digest, and I don't think it's fair to choose one of the. I mean, they're all three great presentations. They all three have great qualities, and I'm not trying to, kick the can down the road, but I would hate to pull the trigger after 20 minutes, and that's all you guys had. You guys took way too much time in this to make a knee-jerk reaction decision. So, if I need to make a motion, I make a motion to form a committee and have a decision.
A committee of council members?
Yes. With I think Trevor needs to be on it. So maybe a Board of Public Works member. But 3 council members, Board of Public Works, and Trevor. And I would say shoot for a recommendation to be made to council by the next meeting.
What was our members again? So the
3 council members, Board of Public Works member, or 2, I don't care what
they
it
could
is.
potentially go up to 2.
Yep, and then Trevor, and I guess you too, Anthony, if you want to come.
I'll second that motion. I think there needs to be just a little more thought behind it too.
All vote.
Alright, any additional public discussion on that? Okay. 8 yeas?
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys can stay for chickens, or you can.
Wondering what that was.
Chicken it's really exciting stuff, guys.
Feel free to leave at any time, unless you gotta
Safe
drive. Thank you so much.
Discussion and action, treasurer's report,
Thank you.
June 25.
Alright, let's do a little follow-up report on that. I'm hoping to get that knocked out this week, plus our July. So I'm pretty well just gonna try to shut my door and plug through, to get both June and July. July's gotta be done before the 10th, so that's this week, get that one done also.
Shut your door.
You said July has to be done or June? June going to the table, wasn't it?
June is tabled, July is due at the next meeting, so by the 10th of the month, yes. So, yeah.
I called the state auditor, and I think we should not do that, because we're gonna have a lot of trouble if we table this. That's what got us in trouble with the audit last time, was putting this off, not getting it done, and we are again, waiting. I could read what he has to say, but I think we just put it off too long. We just can't keep putting stuff on the shelf, we gotta get it done. And we're not getting it done.
So what's your solution?
I suggest that Anthony stays in his office, does his job, instead of going all over watching everybody else work and get it done. That's what he hired him for. He knew the job qualifications. If you don't wanna do it, find somebody else. That's what he needs to do. If I went to work someplace, I agreed to something, I wasn't getting it done because I was jacking around, watching all the other people work, they didn't let me go. I don't wanna see him let him go, but he needs to do his job.
I don't think that's necessarily the only thing that's slowing him down, though. I mean, we all understand the amount, you mentioned there's 16 projects going on. It's not the fact that Anthony's going out and watching people hold a shovel. We got plenty of other stuff that's tying him down. We've already had the discussions about, other staffing problems and everything else that's on his plate, so I think we need to have a little understanding too, in his defense, that this city has a lot of going on. And it's easy to say that, yeah, he should have it done. Well, let's think about the other 50 things that's preventing him from getting it done, that maybe we need to help him offload some of that so he can focus on that. So I wouldn't be too rash to just start throwing out accusations. Don't start throwing accusations in a negative manner and talking to the state auditors when we all know
just how much is going on with this city. And that's too much for any one person to take on by themselves. So let's take a step back and discuss this without just throwing state auditors and, you know, the negative vibes towards Anthony. I don't think that's gonna get this done.
But I also think that we don't need to be out doing somebody else's job when we have, you know, you can't go out and play after supper if you don't eat supper.
You know, yes,
But then you're gonna be mad at him if he doesn't follow through and watch something, and then something falls through, and you're like, where the hell are you?
No, I don't want him out. I want him to trust Trevor. All right, Derek, if you had a teller at your bank.
All right, wait,
No,
okay,
no,
we're dealing with hypotheticals now.
Well, it's my turn to talk.
Okay, you're right.
Okay, if you had a teller at your bank, and she's walking around talking to everybody else, seeing what they were doing, and checking them, and she wasn't getting her job done, would you hire a helper?
Would I hire a helper?
Yeah, if she wasn't getting
Well,
her
if there wasn't nothing to do, I might not hire anybody.
Well, I didn't know, you
Well,
didn't
but
answer the
I'm saying,
question. Would you hire her?
We had this, me and Sarah sat in his office for 45 minutes to deal with the ever-present, most important thing in the world in Falls City right now, freaking chickens. We took 45 minutes that he could have been doing this to deal with chickens. That's the crap that's holding him up. You beat up on this guy all the time. I'm sorry, but I'm going to tell you this right now. We get rid of Anthony, or Anthony, no, listen, it's my turn to talk.
Okay.
If Anthony walks out the door, we have created such a toxic environment. This council, who the hell wants that job? Who wants Trevor's job? Nobody wants it. If anybody has a brain, they're going to watch these council meetings and see how we treat him, and they ain't going to want to do it. So why don't we give the guy some grace? It's easy when you're sitting there at retirement and going coffee in 4 or 5 places and saying, "Damn it, Anthony, do your job." You don't know what he does all day.
I don't go to coffee shops.
You don't know what he does.
Where do I
all
go
day.
to coffee shop at?
Well, you say you go chit chat at the bus barn. You go down to
3
Armory
people
and
out there.
chit chat down there. So you have nothing to do. Come and maybe ask Anthony. Is there something I can help you with? You got time?
I think we give him plenty of time to table it. How many more times we got to table?
Okay.
I don't
well,
want him to be fired.
Then why don't
I
we
want him to
just? He's not going to be fired.
No, I don't.
Why don't we just let him have some grace? Let him shut his door like he said and work on it.
Yes, that's what I want
Then
to do.
instead of saying, "I'm going to call the auditor."
I did call the auditor.
But I know.
What are you supposed to do?
Well, why don't you
We're already
let
in
the guy
trouble
do
with him.
something? Why don't we not worry about chickens?
I don't care about you.
Well, we had to spend 45 minutes with him.
Have it done on Friday and
Yes.
send us an email
Yes.
stating that it can.
That's all I want, to get it done.
As soon
Is
as
that enough, I mean, is that enough time, Friday, or do you think?
I have, I don't know what, 4 after-hours meetings this week. Airport, Board of Public Works, we got obviously council meeting tonight, multiple noon-hour meetings. I don't take much. I work 8 to 8.
Which ones?
You know, it seems like I put in the report from last council meeting to Friday, when I was putting together council agenda, I was leaving town, I had 100 hours of it. You know, that's not messing around, jacking around, not doing my job. You know, that's really 100 billable part hours.
But you're not doing your most important job, you're being a dad. I'm
Right.
serious. Your kids are gonna be grown and gone, and all you're
Yeah.
worried about is the city.
Let's just do it for the next meeting and let's table it and get it done and move on and keep it reasonable.
Which
Shut
ones
the
do at the
door
end of the week?
and
What's that?
Which ones due on the 10th?
Well, no, I mean, they're both due. Every 10th of the month is treasurer's report is due.
Okay. So we can't even say they have one done, they both need to be done at the same time, okay.
Correct. I'll do what I can do to make sure that gets to the stage where we need it to be.
Thank you.
So you were looking for a motion or an action item to table the treasurer's report.
Well, it's already tabled, so we just leave it on the table.
Yeah.
Try and get her done by the 10th so we can move on to chickens and goats and tree trimmings and.
Ostriches.
Can we? Let's do that. So leave it on the table then.
Move on then, right?
Yes, please.
Move on to 3, discussion and action. Consider and establish procedures and compliance regulations for keeping of fowl and revisions to chapter 6, article 2 of the city code.
So hopefully within the next meeting, we'll have an actual draft ordinance. Dunn's office has it right now. But brought it back as an item, just to have a discussion. I know Sarah had some people reach out to her talking about the proposed numbers, like we had is 15 and then 30 overall, potentially doing some revisions and concerns on roosters. So I did get Lindsay Jones, our code enforcement officer, did submit a kind of a letter stating she believes, no more than 10 chickens would be sufficient for what they have. Anything beyond that's, likely gonna produce, in her opinion, odor, noise, health concerns, and having to put more city resources to enforcement of, the chicken permitting or the fowl permitting that'll go into place. So that is her recommendation, in a written format. Sarah, do you wanna talk anything about constituents you've spoke with?
The phone call, I've gotten a lot of phone calls since the last meeting. The roosters, everyone now is like coming out of the woodwork on where the roosters are in town.
I can tell you.
So, do we say no roosters and get that over with, or?
So on the rooster deal, so if we're gonna run these chickens, right, for example, the people that are doing it right are gonna cause a problem.
Right.
So if you call it a rooster, and then you go there and see a rooster, they're done, they have no more, they can have chickens for them. That gets a rooster, I've been getting phone calls about roosters too. And it's,
Yeah.
But if that's a problem, that's the issue, the roosters, if you have them, then you don't get to have chickens anymore. Cause the people that are gonna do it right aren't gonna have them.
Right.
I mean, if that's, feels for everybody else, I don't know.
Yeah. I never know you had chicken.
What is the
I think
process
you gotta-
then?
Well, like-
maintain your
Ever.
police strike.
What is the process like?
You can't have the
Rooster on-
police, trying to police 2 or 3 different policies of, this eliminates, now you can't have them after 1 strike. I mean, I think you still gotta keep your
1, 2, 3.
your 1, 2, 3 strike. I mean, cause once they're not allowed to have them, they're not allowed to have them. But that way the people policing it are on the same policy from start to finish with everybody. There's not multiple policies.
If the public wants to talk, can you please?
Want me to come up there? Or?
Yeah, please come over and introduce yourself.
I think the ordinance should read.
Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Randy Scott. Thank you. I live next door to a rooster. I'm trying to be a nice neighbor. I don't complain. But I think roosters need to be up front. No. Because we're gonna waste manpower and time if you gotta run over there 3 times and make a complaint. Just put it up front. There are the problems. I also think that whatever the proposal is, 15 needs to be less, 10 at the maximum. We checked, did I hear we checked with a town, couple other towns?
Yes.
They had 5, one had 10, no roosters. So I don't know why we went up to 15 and then 30. Mr. Layton probably does a heck of a job keeping his clean and stuff, but some people don't.
Yeah.
That's true.
The explanation to the 15 to the 30 was that whole aging to adulthood where you get more knowing that you're gonna shrink it back down once they're sexed out.
Is that in what the other towns?
Their limit's
Said-
5
Yeah.
or 4 period.
We wanna do that, we live in town for a reason. If we wanted to have all these animals, we'd go elsewhere out in the country, so it wouldn't bother people. But I've got them next to me, there's some down in the block south of us. And it's 4:30 in the morning, occasionally. And then once it starts, it might go on for 45 minutes, and then they'll shut up. And then all of a sudden, here we go again. It's not the hens that are causing the problem. But I think, if you did get some new ones, and you found a responsible person, hey, I've got a rooster, and takes care of it right away, because you never know, I guess, right?
Yeah, but you can't tell the difference between an adult hen and a maturing, or a rooster that's growing. I just killed 2 more this last weekend.
Yeah.
Because they finally started crowing, so I knew they were finally roosters.
But when they get big and adults, it's.
I feel
And I
that's
think
a problem.
if we just use the noise ordinance, then somebody's got to come over there 3 times and waste that person's trip. They got other things to do.
Well, and the beauty of it all too is that, finding replacements aren't really that difficult. I mean, seasonally, Tractor Supply, and, you know, you've got farmers that have them that you can procure chicks and things like that too, so it's not like you have to make a big effort to replenish your fowl. I would also agree that, no, I just feel like, I agree with Randy that roosters could become a problem right away, and we need to take a serious look at considering to not allow roosters. But,
And that's the way I've always done my chickens. I've never had a rooster, didn't need them. I'm not brooding new chicks every year. But yeah, I mean, and to get to your number, I mean, 10 to 12 to 15, it's not going to make a whole big of a difference. I mean, you know, the smell thing was worried about smell. I can tell you, you can clean your coop one day. Within 3 days, if it rains, it's gonna smell. Why? Because they're not pooping in a litter box where you're cleaning it up. I mean, they're chickens. They step on it. You know what I'm saying? It looks like dirt. You can't go pick up their scat. Yeah, I mean, you can't pick up their scat, so there's gonna be a smell regardless. But I mean, I'm fine with roosters. You know, I mean, the numbers. I guess the reason we do it is because we don't want to have factory raised chicken eggs for my family. You know, I wanted something that I knew where it's coming from instead of something sitting on a counter somewhere in some factory, you know, not factory, but, you know, factory farm. So, I mean, and I don't know, we live in a small rural town. I mean, I guess I'm not, obviously I'm not opposed to chickens, but.
Eric, how long have you had chickens?
There's plenty of people that sell eggs out there.
I'm probably 8 years in them.
Yeah, I never knew you had, you know what I'm saying, you know, I applaud for the way you take care of them, and.
it kind of turns into what we talked about with the cows and the horses and everything else. You got the flies, you got the smells. If the number one problem is the rooster, and it doesn't seem like we've had any complaints about hens, it's just the quantity in the roosters. Nobody's coming to these councils defending the roosters. I mean, they've had the opportunity to say why we should allow them, but yet nobody's done that. So I think if we lower the count, eliminate the roosters, makes everybody happy, then we're not here for another 45 minutes discussing.
But we have to have the juvenile versus the adults. I'm not gonna kill my laying hens while I got chicks in my garage.
There's a process of major change to add roosters onto the ordinance or whatever.
Nothing's set in stone yet, so.
No, the ordinance, and that ordinance can be, when it gets draft here, it can be revised in the first, second, third reading. You know, however I said we, I mean, the council, however the council wants to make, you know, those changes and additional public comment, you wanna revise that, how it's drafted. We just took what the data we had, gave that to Dunn's office, said here, modify code to see how we can accommodate this. Council could take a motion now, if that's something you wanna do, say let's move forward with a no roosters, or another number capped out, or whatever that may be, and make that directive, and then I can push that directive over to Dunn's, and they'll have it ready for the next council.
Why don't we do that tonight so we don't have to spend another 30 minutes?
Yes.
I'd rather talk about a $50 million power project than talk about.
They don't live next door to you. That's right. They don't live next door to you.
Yeah, you remember you told me years ago to move north into town, I won't have.
I didn't say that to you.
You said that to me about, side by sides. I told you that.
We're talking about chickens though.
Yeah, well,
Well, that's what I'm saying, let's just go ahead and get this done right now.
John, everything is retired.
Come up here, John, to the podium.
And, and you didn't say that. But I got one question on the permit. Will you talk to the neighbor of the individual that's gonna get the permit about the chicken?
What do you mean?
Say you want chicken. You live next to me. Are you gonna come ask me if it's okay if you had chicken?
That's what the permitting process is with the public. You can come talk right before the permit's granted or not.
So you'll
So just
notify
like
the neighbor.
horses and cattle, there's a public meeting.
Okay, and I thought you made a very good comment. When you ask these people to stay, to listen, you guys are sitting here talking about multi-million-dollar electrical transmission lines, upgrading Falls City, getting a new business in town. I'm gonna ask you, before you vote on chickens, drive by Chris Roberts' house. Just drive up, Barrel Street in the 1500 block and look to the left. That's all I'd ask you to do, every one of you.
I have.
Another one over Benoit
And,
Middle School.
and the chickens are horrible enough, but if you had 20 geese or 20 guineas living beside you,
Yeah, they got guineas too.
yeah, what,
Where is this at?
1500 blocks of Merida. As you're driving north, look to your left.
So it's the
And then
south.
Chris wouldn't mind if you drove into her backyard when it's 90 degrees and took a whiff.
Yeah.
Or right after a rain.
I did.
And it smells to high heaven.
Directly south of Barn Rooster Service Shop.
And you know,
Oh,
if you wanna raise chickens, and I'm sure Derek, you do a good job, but if you wanna raise chickens, we've got the country.
I do wanna clarify, right now our procedure is to not have a public hearing like we do with horses and all that. What's currently,
Because there were so many people that have chickens.
yes.
So when these people, this new company moved to town and built this new house for $5, their neighbor can put 30 chickens in the backyard. That just don't make any sense. Unless they lived up north.
15 adults.
Heard.
Oh, I don't pick
15
on
others, they all poop.
Yeah.
So, James Burkeville,
At the health hazard.
I live over here on Stone Street, next to, some chickens, mainly one rooster. When I worked at Cooper, I could not sleep at night. I actually had to move into my basement to get rid of the noise. And I sit back here, this is my first time ever at a council meeting, but got it. We have a huge project that the city is planning on doing, but you have concerned citizens here right now, and the only thing I hear from our council is laughing and joking about chickens. All right, I moved back to Fall City to get away from that, right? I got it. The city has a lot of projects going on, all right? But the daily nuisances that roosters provide for a lot of people in this community overshadows a $15 million project that's gonna take years to do. This can be established and be done within months. So I understand you guys are all busy, you all got separate things in your lives, we all do. How many of you are living with a daily nuisance of waking up at 4:30 in the morning to a rooster, or trying to go to bed and the rooster's still going?
We have, James, we do have a noise ordinance that if you file a complaint, you have to sign a complaint.
I understand.
And that's the whole thing, but if people don't sign complaints, I've had numerous people say, well, this, I go, have you filed a complaint? Why, and I'm not gonna name, but they said, well, I don't wanna, and I get that, you don't wanna raise, I have an eyesore in my neighborhood that, I'm the same way, I don't wanna file a complaint, but that's the only way we're, it could be removed already if we just file a complaint and lodge it with the police, but then your name's gonna have to be on it.
No, and I'm actually fine with that, but I was always the nice neighbor when they were in my yard. Before they were contained. Of, hey, your rooster's on my truck, or your hens are
So
in my.
your recommendation is getting rid of all roosters and 10 or 12 hens at the most?
I don't think that there should be a set number on the number of chickens you have. I think there should be a set number based on the availability that you can hold.
That's gonna cause a mess though.
Yeah.
I think there has to be a number.
Drive by my backyard, how many chickens do you think I can hold back there?
Well, there is a square footage in the ordinance that says you only.
That's what I'm saying.
There is a
No,
square
we have the
If
footage.
you have, I don't know how big your place is, or how many chickens you have, but if you have the capability to care for them, by all means. So. But
we're not the proponents of roosters. You're coming at us like we're the ones defending the roosters.
No.
We're here to help you.
I'm not saying.
We're not laughing about chickens overshadowing power.
I'm gonna call you out, Don. You are sitting here saying that this chicken thing is a joke. You're
No,
sitting
I-
here with your
I said
eyes
it's a
closed.
joke. I said it's time to resolve and get it over with.
No.
I just said, let's get it over with tonight. That's what I said.
You understand?
I didn't say it was a joke.
I spent 20 years in the service, and I can read body language. And your body language says otherwise.
No, actually, I got a headache, and that was from today, and I'm just sitting here, and I'm really not saying anything. I'm letting you have your time. So I'm gonna defend myself, as I just assume we just get it resolved.
I agree, we should
So,
get it resolved.
That's all. So I'm not laughing at you or making a joke, and please don't.
Not at me. You weren't laughing at me.
I'm not laughing at
You were
anybody. I
making
would
light
like
of
to
the
go home. I
situation.
got a headache.
And to me, as a council member,
What's
that is, to me, in your position, making light of a situation that the public is bringing forward is very demeaning to the public.
Well, okay.
And that's
Well,
the way that it comes off.
Well noted, well noted.
So.
Okay.
And that, I'm just.
Okay.
From experience.
Okay.
So, thank you.
If I could make one more comment, the noise ordinance, I've gotta sign it, then I'll get beat up on social media. We all know what happened with the power going out here a while back, within few minutes on Facebook, it's just constant.
We
And I'm not
understand.
on Facebook for that reason.
Yeah, no, we understand,
But I mean,
absolutely.
it's just, you know,
That's why I say,
Yeah.
eliminate Facebook.
And Randy, you weren't the only person that called me about it, but I mean, I've said it to numerous people, but it's just one of those things, like, and I told you on the phone, I have somebody that I'd like to sign something, but I'm in the same thing, I don't wanna get bad blood, but. So I
Even
wouldn't-
with the new ordinance.
Thank you.
Or the new writing to the ordinance, it's still gonna require the neighbors and the citizens to call and make that complaint. It's still gonna require the citizens to make a complaint, to get them down the 3-strike rule that we discussed. It's not gonna be, you know, it's still gonna take the public to make those complaints in order
But
for
I
it to
say-
be enforced.
No
So,
roosters,
just so everybody
10
understands
chickens.
that, you know, we can set it at
Is that a
1,000, but if they go
Yes, I
over, it
motion.
still takes somebody
No
else.
rooster, 10 chickens.
And how much?
10.
10 chickens, no roosters.
Alright, Sarah's got a motion to ban roosters.
No adult. I mean, you gotta give somebody that's buying the chicks, they don't know what they are.
Yeah, but
When
like
they get
Derek,
the
he's gonna
age,
take care of
yes.
it.
Anybody, when they do, they get to the age.
Derek,
You
when
can't
does
even
it-
tell.
When can you tell it's an actual rooster?
The other day I was picking green beans and they started crowing.
Is there a specific age?
I bought them in March.
I was gonna say 6 to 8 months, somewhere right in there, I think, is when they.
I mean, I'm not a chicken expert, so I don't know
Yeah.
what age they start deciding.
The feathers change and they start showing their colors, you can start picking up on it.
We're all gonna be experts on chickens.
Yeah. Claudia, did you have a question earlier?
I
thought I seen you.
All I was gonna say is, why don't we just not have any fowl at all? And, the second thing is, why should the neighbors have to be the ones that call in with somebody who's not taking care of anything? That's, I know that doesn't make sense, but it does up here.
Because the city's gonna issue the grant, but not talk to the neighbors about having the chickens, so, I mean, you're dumping it on the neighbors.
The neighbors
To take care of the problem you
Yeah.
create.
Yeah, and the police.
Yeah.
But, I'm all for not having any. Why
The more
don't we
we
do that?
discuss it,
Why don't we do that?
the more I get to that point.
I'm kidding about the same
My,
way.
my level of irritation is growing every time we talk about this, so if we can't come to an agreement, then yes, it's gonna hurt the whole town, but it's ridiculous, so.
If you call in and complain, you don't have to give your name.
Well, because, it's Mr. Langdon's statement, probably 3 years ago, I had this dog, and I tried to get along with everybody. And I talked with the neighbor, I had a phone call to the VA doctor, and this dog was just raising hell. So I got a tape recorder, I take the dog, take me, signed a complaint, wrote out a statement, took it, gave it to, I don't know, Jamie, I think. City wouldn't file it, because they thought that the time the dog was barking didn't constitute a nuisance violation, so there you go.
I think a barking dog is just as annoying as a.
Or worse, yeah.
I would almost ban dogs as fast as I ban chickens.
But I'm just saying, even though the neighbor would call a complaint in, that don't mean they're gonna do anything with it. But I guess my thing is, drive by and look at Chris's neighbor, because if you're trying to do something with the town, which I hope you are, and get people, businesses, ain't nobody gonna wanna live in that mess. It's just, it's terrible.
Some of them are a mess. I personally did turn one in down at Ninth and McLean, I think it was. They cleaned it up once they were turned in. but it was
Just
terrible.
clarification though, that we don't have to have a signed complaint for all violations. It's the noise is where the signed complaint. The rest of it can be called in and we can deal with it.
Well, yeah, on a nuisance, they can
Yeah.
just do that, but on something that has to be prosecuted for like if I'm complaining about noise or something, yeah, they're gonna have to have a signed complaint.
We have a motion.
We currently have a motion for 10 birds.
Well, we're gonna add something in there about, we weren't gonna public notice or anything, so yeah, I think that's what we said, it's not in there now in the ordinance.
That's how we drafted the procedures, based on the last go around, it's no longer, it's not falling under the animal or the livestock and all that ordinance. It
Probably
runs under the
should.
fowl ordinance.
probably should fall. I think the neighbor should have an
I
opportunity to
think so
speak.
too, it should be the same as a cat or anything else is what I think, yeah.
So, how do you want to handle anybody that's currently has chickens?
We're gonna have a lot of meetings with a lot of people coming through.
I mean, they're all gonna have to come in and get permitted to have it, so, I mean, why not have them speak? If they want to, why?
Because you might have situations where if we're given notice of a permit and we drive by and we see a mess, I mean, legitimately, that could be a no, just based off of who it is and how they've historically taken care of them. I don't think everybody's gonna be an automatic yes just because they have them, but it puts more time on our table to sit here and review all these. You get through them once, it's gonna be ugly, that first year's done, and then anybody new coming in, it hopefully isn't gonna be as cumbersome of a process. But yeah, if we do this, which I feel like we should, when we have 100 people in town, I mean, that's gonna be spread across multiple meetings, but I think the public has a right to defend their property if, it's not a dog or a cat. I mean, chickens are a little bit different, I feel like the cows and the horses and the buffalo and sheep, the goats and the FFA animals and.
We're gonna put a piece in the paper that states what the ordinance is, so people know when they read the paper that be aware of this is our ordinance for chickens.
It's gotta be communicated, it's gotta be upfront, it's not like, hey,
Right.
it's August now and you've got till January because then you're gonna have a flood. You've already got office staff that's neck deep and everything else, and that's just gonna be more burden on the paperwork and everything else, but at some point it's gotta be done, so. I hate to say it, cause it's gonna suck, but I think it's a process we all need to kind of establish.
Well, we have there's people that have them have 6 months to get a permit, so I mean, I'm not gonna go first day.
No.
So, why would I?
Nobody even know you had them though, so you
Yeah. I'm gonna wait till the end.
And maybe that gives people time to clean up their mess too, now that there's some, regulations in place that, maybe before I go for the permit, I might wanna build a coop and not have it my entire backyard or something, if we're limiting to a 200 square foot enclosure or whatever that was, so.
Be some additional revisions to code, we just reference it probably back to, there's a couple sections prior to that, where it talks about how we do our animals, the other livestock, reference fowl within that piece of code. And then we could, if you guys wanna still have the enclosure requirements, all that would then tie back to the permit, or tie back to that application piece, that would then be presented at public hearing.
This is kind of how deep in the rabbit hole we're gonna go, but what benefit in your backyard is guineas? Guineas and geese, I mean, is this just chickens? Do we wanna, like the dangerous dog breed thing where we're saying you can only have these breeds of dogs or whatever? We just say it's chickens only and we just keep the ducks, the geese, the guineas, the turkey. And I used to have turkeys, love the turkeys, but they were more of just a yard ornament than they were producing eggs or anything else. So guineas are your home alarm system.
Yes.
I think their eggs are about this big, you'd have to crack 20 of them to make an omelet, so. I mean.
Like quail.
But why? Move to the country for all that. I mean, I agree, yes, that's the argument of living in a small town. We're gonna bend a little bit and allow the chickens with some limitations, but, ducks and geese, they find a water puddle and they just turn it into a lake. It's just a mud pit in your yard. Like I said, the guineas, they're just noisy, I don't know if anybody has one in town, but it's probably unnecessary.
I mean, if we're gonna tighten it up, let's tighten it up and get it done.
Now's the time to just drop the hammer and say, this is what you're gonna do, and if you don't like it, Sunmar's got eggs.
What did Auburn just have? I seen, is it just hens and bantams, I think is what I seen, they don't have 4?
I think 4 in Auburn.
That's what I was thinking, but there's no, I mean, it's just hen chickens, I mean, there's nothing
Yeah.
else to be.
I think that's something we should probably just hint.
I'm good with that.
I mean, sorry, but yes, we live in a city, so.
And I'm here to support the community members that came to me about this. I don't enjoy this as much as anyone, but I am trying to do what I can to help everyone.
As cranky as I get, saying no to everything is probably, I mean, that's psychotic. I'm extreme, but I think we can probably come to an agreement. But I
Our
think
motion was 10 hens, no roosters.
Sounds good.
Adult.
Adult.
10 adult hens, no roosters. We've got the chicken coop regulations in place, the noise ordinance is followed.
I was on vacation last week. What is the chicken restrictions on the, in a coop or
It
not?
has to be fully enclosed now. You can't let them free range.
Oh,
Or
okay.
like the top has to be covered as well, not just the sides.
But you see them out all over.
Yeah, exactly.
North of,
Keep them
north
contained.
of the middle school, they're always out.
I think you made a comment a while back, if we don't put any, or dimensions on it, they're just gonna fence their whole yard in, they're just gonna run the whole yard.
Yeah,
It's-
right.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So we got a motion and a second.
Chickens only, right, nothing else, that's what we're making.
Just a chicken dropping an egg.
That's it.
So we're talking about eliminate where we reference fowl within our code
Chickens only.
and replace two chicken.
No roosters.
No roosters, 10 adult hen chickens, eliminate fowl, and have a public hearing. Or follow our current public hearing process essentially.
I'm just making sure we have the thing, so if you're raising chicks, that you can only have 10 adults, cause I mean.
Yes.
So you're tying another number to your total like we have now, we say 15 and no more than 30, or you're gonna say 10 no more than,
10 hens, 10 chicks. I'm gonna keep it easy.
or is
10
it?
and 10's fine, cause either way, you're gonna have to find a way to bring that number down.
You're gonna have a couple roosters, you fed them for 6 months, and then you have a couple roosters when you're done with it. Yeah, I had one last week, I hadn't heard before.
Okay. Okay, so reiterate, no roosters, 10 adult hen chickens, no more than 20 overall, then with their chicks. Replace fowl with chickens and have the public hearing process.
I thought 10 total,
So,
but
10 adults is what he's
Well,
asking.
what I'm saying is if I get 10 chicks, it takes 6 months to get them molted, so I'm supposed to kill my adults while I got these ones sitting under a hot lamp?
That's not gonna work. But, and the other side of that is, okay, we're not talking about you in this scenario, but you've got 10 adults, you go to the store and you buy your 10 more. Who's gonna come around 6 months from now and check on yours because you don't have roosters or not making noise and now you're just secretly hoarding 30 chickens in your basement because nobody knows about it, and, you know, that's
This is the whole frustrating thing, is I'm responsible.
That's what.
And I'm getting
Yeah.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
And I haven't done a damn thing wrong, but that's how it feels, like I've done everything by the book, and
And
here
I
I
will tell
am.
you that you're the exception to all rules.
Yeah, it's like, god damn.
Absolute exception to the rule.
We charge a couple bucks a head to register them. when they have to.
It's a starting point, and
Yeah.
chances are 5 years from now, we're probably gonna be sitting here trying to figure it out, or something's gonna be broken in the process.
I'll tell you,
And
4
this is
years
a
from
good
now,
starting
when my youngest goes off to college,
think
I'm not
that
gonna have
was
chickens,
somewhere
I'm
around
doing
this
chores.
number.
What's that?
So what are we with this number, where are we at on this? I really confused as to, are we 10, total, 10 adult chickens? And Derek gets 30 chicks and the neighbor calls him in and we gotta go confiscate his
there you have
chicks.
nothing. I don't know how you're gonna do that or you have nothing.
Let's
That's
start
for me,
with 10 and 10, and I don't, or 10 and 15, I just, the bigger we make, the chick number, the bigger of a problem it's gonna be for the people that aren't Derek. Or maybe it's him, he's gonna take advantage of us all.
Yeah.
If we make that secondary number bigger, they're gonna use
Cheat on
every
it,
bit of
yeah.
it, they're gonna cheat every last bird they can, and now everybody's gonna have 20 of them. until someone comes on their door and says you gotta get rid of them, and they're like, oh, okay, no big deal, now I'll deal with it, but till then, nobody's gonna say a word, they're gonna have 20 birds in their yard. That's my concern with that, or if we just say 10 and 10, knowing that Derek might have a bunch of baby chicks, but nobody's gonna come knocking on your door. Mum's the word and everything's fine, and if we show up and you've got 10 adults and you're happy with that, fine, we got 10 adults. But John Doe down the street, if we say you can have 20, he's gonna have 20, and he'll keep 20. So I still think maybe it's just 10 birds. We know that people are gonna have chicks, and if you get a complaint, and someone from the PD or Lindsay shows up and says, Derek, why do you have 17 birds? And your explanation is, well, you know, this or that, and you address it. Or give you a buffer.
Make that an emotion, she already made it, you second it?
I'm just being the devil's advocate, so we're not dealing with this again, so I don't know.
Enough, I think.
So 10 and nothing, 10 total. No rooster.
Maybe that's just something Lindsay understands, or whoever the code enforcer is.
Lindsay
that-
just thought that would be easier because she didn't think that she was gonna be able to tell, like, how you gonna tell a difference from, how old is that one? Is it an adult?
And maybe that's not a case where if she shows up and someone's got some chicks and they're waiting on, it's just like, all right, I'm gonna come back in a couple months, and if things aren't improved, then action is required, but till then, you know, there's a little grace there with the chicks.
Well, typical code process, they're gonna get a notice to cure that issue, to comply.
You got a week to do something about it.
So,
I got 3 of them in a month.
if they don't, then it goes down the process.
That's where I
There's
think,
some due process.
that's just where I think if we just say 10 total, period, knowing that there's gonna be a little fudge room for chicks, cause that's just how you raise these things, then maybe there's a little grace there if there becomes an issue. You know, you shouldn't have anybody call on you if you're taking care of your birds, it shouldn't be an issue.
Like I said, I know Costas lives right next to me. He's talking about it, he's like, I enjoy it.
You know, maybe
Right,
setting a
still
hard
raise.
limit addresses everybody that's not responsible, and the hard limit will help us get them under control. And the responsible ones, you'll take care of them like you should. So.
Alright, so Sarah had an initial motion, say we kind of amended that, are you good with the amendments,
10 chickens, no roosters,
eliminate
public
hearing?
hearing, right? That's the changes,
Chickens, no fun.
Yep,
chickens only.
okay. Do we have a second for that?
I've spoken long enough, I can't.
Right now.
Are y'all chickens or what? Do I have a second?
Yes, we have a second. Prime Minister second.
I'll vote.
Alright, 8 yeas.
What's next?
Thanks, you guys.
Regular business.
See you later.
Discussion. Consider approval of Class C liquor license renewal.
Alright, annual renewals, we've published those in the journal to receive any complaints, we received none, so we're recommending you.
Motion approved.
Second.
I'll vote.
8 yeas.
Number 2, discussion and action. Resolution for renewal coverage with LARM.
Alright, I'll put your plan.
Alright. Some of you council members are new. My name is Clint Simmons. I'm the insurance agent with LARM, League Association of Risk Management. Just here tonight, just to answer any basic questions that you may have. Tonight you've got 2 options. One is to sign a new resolution for 3 years. That'll give you a 5% discount, or you could drop down, because you did that last year. Or you could drop down to 2 years and with a 4% discount, with the intentions maybe at some point to go out for bid in a couple of years. So I also have I've been working a lot with both Anthony and Megan. I've met with all the department heads, fire department, police department. We have made a ton of changes for the benefit of your community, because we were insuring things that you didn't even have anymore, were overvalued in automobile values, those type of things. I've also worked with Megan on some payroll issues that we were able to save some additional funds. You have a $2,500 deductible right now. We can save you an additional $6,114 by going to a $5,000 deductible. That's an all peril deductible. The nice thing about our deductible, unlike what you had before and what you have with Public Works, is you have a per occurrence deductible. So if you have 10 buildings get hit with hail or storm damage or tornado, whatever it might be, you have a $5,000 per occurrence deductible. So in my mind, it makes sense to maybe go up from 2,500 to 5,000 and save that $6,100, because again, even if you have one bad storm where you guys get hit, costs you 5,000 out of your pocket, but you're still saving 6,114 versus paying out 2,500 for a deductible. That's the one thing. And again, I work with your staff. I don't want to waste a lot of your time with insurance, because your staff knows best what things should be insured at. And you know, Megan does a wonderful job of giving me spreadsheet after spreadsheet of, you know, as those department heads come in and give them new values. So, any questions you have for me?
So just to let you guys know, LARM covers our general side of operations. So all of our equipment, whether it's tied to utilities or the city side, and then all of our public facilities. So that does not include our utility facilities, you know, power plants, gas shop, wine shop, all that. That's still through Cincinnati. We have no idea what renewal it's gonna be up to the wire again with Cincinnati. We know for sure. We've already tried to reach out to get confirmation of where we're at, so we can try to budget those dollars, budget those renewals if we're looking at that. So we'll see that one here on top of that, but this is just the general side of operations.
And just so you know, when you do have those numbers, I am going to try to, this year, although we did insure Broken Bow with that bad fire and explosion up there, we think that we can now, we're working on some other municipalities, we think that we can get both boiler and machine and the operations themselves and the property insured. So we intend to try to give you a proposal sometime maybe December, January, February, somewhere in there. Because right now what you have with Cincinnati is you have a $25,000 per building deductible, which is not great. And the nice thing with us, if we can get you rolled into our program, you'll have a $5,000 per occurrence for everything, including those public works buildings. So we're gonna try. We're gonna give it our best shot. There will have to be an inspection. We'll have to have our reinsurance come do an inspection on the, especially the power gen. So that inspection will have to happen, but we're gonna try like the Dickens to do that for you guys. So, okay.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion that we renew with LARM.
Vote.
One quick thing, renew for 3 years. Okay.
That was on
That's the 5%.
Yes, the 5% discount. Yeah.
5% discounts. Do we wanna move that deductible up at all?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's go to the $5,000 deductible. That saves us $6,000.
Yeah.
$500 a month, yeah. Make that part of my motion, please.
Got it. Alright, first by Ferguson, who's my second?
Everybody.
Whoever can say it fast enough. Okay.
All vote.
Alright, 8 yeas?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
3, discussion and action, resolution authorizing an MOU with
Wyvern.
Why did you? I had it, man. Foundation for the donation and installation of a AED at Dallas Jones Park.
That's a good deal. I make a motion to approve.
I second it.
All vote.
8 yeas?
And just so you know, we still have to raise the money, but And there might be another MOU coming if we can get enough money for additional AED for like Stanton's Lake or, Moorhead or whatever that Grandview.
They should probably be everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now, we only have one at Pritchard and the pool. And then we have, here, one here.
Yeah, there's one here.
Yeah, we do it, then the hospital actually does all the battery renewals for us.
I can help with that, do it, work with, I'm gonna, you need three of them.
4, discussion and action, resolution soliciting auditing services for the fiscal year 2025-2026.
Alright, so we received a letter from Julie, which, before she sent this, so we had talked to her. She had been engaged for 24, 25, and 26 on our audit based upon our last go around. That was essentially engaged for that, so she provided the letter to state she can no longer do that for us. Moving forward with that, we're close to getting around to, renewal, so I drafted up an RFP to get that out so we can solicit entities. Julie did mention she's got some entities that she can get us in contact with at least to get numbers and get ideas moving forward. So, if you have questions beyond what she provided in her letter, as per reasoning, I would suggest contacting her directly. So this will just put it out for bid essentially, which we'll end up probably just making phone calls to entities or nearby. We're not gonna probably push this out. Maybe hit our website, but there's no real place to land these things. Besides, there's a qualified list that the state auditors have that's posted. We can get that and issue it to those via email and see what we can get back.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Vote.
Alright, 8 yeas.
5, discussion and action, resolution authorizing the execution of the franchise agreement with Skidder Cable TV.
Alright, so this is for, essentially SNC, and 99 was their ordinance when they essentially went underground for all their operations. That has now expired. They didn't have anything tight in place for cable service. So with that being ordinance done, we decided to try to modify that rather than doing an ordinance, modified how we were to do, Spectrum and all the other cable entities. So we drafted up a franchise agreement for them to occupy our right of way, just as we did with Spectrum at the last meeting. So that's what that is. It gives them their right to continue to occupy our right of way and put their services into anything that we would annex.
I'm supposed to approve that.
All vote.
8 yeas.
6, discussion and action, resolution to assess unpaid fee for 923 East 11th Street.
Yep, that one's just coming around to another 180 days. We'll have more coming up in the future, or the very near future, as we come around to that. So.
Motion to approve.
All vote.
Alright, 8 yeas.
End of the agenda.